Good morning, everybody. Just waiting for the rankings or anybody who's going to come in person. Okay, I think I see Rep Scott online. Just waiting to get started. Good morning, everybody. I'll convene this meeting in the Housing Committee. As we say every time we're in this committee, today is a good day to have a good day. We have one referral, but before that, I'll ask if Representative Scott or Senator Marks wanted to say a few words.
I'm good.
Perfect. Uh, don't see Senator Sampson on here, but I'll congratulate him on his recent nuptials anyway. Item number one, uh, substitute for House Bill 5235, an act concerning notice requirements and standards for the removal of encampments on property under the control of the Department of Transportation. As we do in this committee, I'll give a quick description of the bill. It's basically just taking a policy that our DOT has currently of making sure that you tell folks who are part of an encampment that 2 weeks prior to the removal of their property from a certain space, they are given notice and they have those 2 weeks to plan accordingly and figuring out what they're going to do before that encampment is cleared. We have seen in a lot of municipalities around the state, even though this is the policy for DCF, they have urged them and made it very, very clear that they would like them to not follow policy and do it in a much shorter burst, sometimes as little as 24 to 48 hours. This is just to codify this in statute to ensure that the 2 weeks is the standard practice. Any questions, comments, or discussion? Representative Scott online.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it. So first of all, let me say from a standpoint of overarching theme, I am kind of happy that we have some kind of encampment rule here that DOT and ultimately municipalities will need to follow and make sure we're understanding that we can get rid of encampments. They're not there permanently. They're not able to be a part of these places, the state places, but even municipal lands where they can be kept for long periods of time. So I do appreciate that. I do have a question, though, about some of the timing on the bill. I was reading through some of the testimony. Again, this is not in our committee. This is in the Transportation Committee. So what I read was from one of the DOT folks that did, I think it was the commissioner of the DOT. And he'd said that the policy currently provides at 72 hours notice prior to site cleanups. So that is their current policy. So we are now changing it with the substitute language to 14 days. I know I might be putting you on the spot a little bit because we did not go through the public hearing, we did not go through the negotiations, but where did the 14 days come from? Through you.
Thank you. To my understanding, it was in conversation between the chairs of obviously transportation and the Department of Transportation, figuring out what the best timeline is here to kind of extend it. I don't know what the original date that they had picked, whether it was longer, like a 3 week, or shorter, like a 1 week. But they ended up in negotiations coming to 14 days as the final product.
Again, I didn't read through all the testimony, I'll be honest. We only had a couple days with this bill, but I did read through some of the commissioners, and I just was curious, like, what if 3 days was the 72 hours notice? So let's just say 72 hours, 3 days, same thing. What was the hurdle? What was the problem with that 72 hours that wasn't working, let's just say? That's, I guess, my question. I don't know if you have an answer to that, but I guess I'll go back to that question: is what was not working for the 3 days notice, if you know.
I'm not sure about in practice across the state. I know that there were some very specific examples where folks were warned, even though people who are homeless are transient, right? So they might not have been there in the whatever the 3 days prior was that they talked to them. They gave them what people see as little notice as the 3 days, and then their tents were removed. Some I think were taken, and then everything was replaced with like rubble and rocks and things like that. I'm not saying that folks don't have the right to clear out encampments, right? We want to make sure there's a policy in place because encampments can be dangerous. But those people lost their property, and the space that they were taking up was then, made uninhabitable to them. So I think we're just trying to give them a longer leeway for that, in case of those very specific and very extreme examples. Representative Scott.
And then what is the responsibility of the folks who are putting up the signs for the 14-day notice, but also is there other responsibilities for the DOT, whoever, to break down these encampments? Is there any other responsibilities in terms of getting them help or getting, obviously there's notices we know have to go up, but is there any other responsibilities of the folks who are removing the encampments that has to provide to those folks who are in the encampment?
Not at the moment. I know that there is a provision in this bill where there will be a study of what they will do with confiscated properties once this takes effect. And I don't know if this counts as a additional responsibility, but they can also be able to do this in a shorter timeline if there are significant health and safety concerns that they would have to deal with, or the blocking of roadways, right? Big transportation issues. They're allowed to do something in terms of medical infrastructure or any kind of emergency. Representative Scott.
What is the current policy or responsibility of the materials of the encampment property, whatever we might want to call the terminology? What is the current policy of what those who are breaking down that encampment are supposed to do with it?
I think it depends on what the type of property is, whether or not they have to store it or if they can trash it or not. I'm not sure what exactly the policy is, but I know that it depends on the type of property.
Yeah. Again, I do see other people have questions, and I'm sure there'll be more. I am supportive of the generality of an idea of let's come up with a policy that makes sense for this scenario. It's sad that this scenario even exists. We know that. These are some of the most vulnerable people. We've talked about that a million times. And we need to be humane to those folks also to make sure that we're able to try to give them the help. But we've talked to a lot of these people don't want help, sadly. And I don't want the responsibility to be on the DOT or the municipality to say, like, if they have to get them help. Well, if they don't want help, then that's a burden that might never be able to suffice. That they might never be able to come together with this policy. So I'm definitely interested to see the next steps of that, the learnings, the study that they're going to do to figure out what's the best policy and make sure that we try to give them the help if they want it, I guess is I would say a sad part, because I would hope that they would want the help and get some housing of some kind and get protected out of the weather. But some of them don't. So I do appreciate that. I'll let other people go. I do think that 14 days is just, I think it's too long, to be honest. I think 7 days could be a conversation. The policy was 3 days. I get not coming in there, blindly and just wiping everybody out. I get that. But 3 days, 7 days, I think is very, very fair. And if I were to propose amendment, which I'm not, I would definitely have done either back to 3 days or even maybe 7 days. But I'm just going to vote no on this today. But I hope, and I do know in talking to the chair of the Transportation Committee, there is still ongoing conversations about this bill with the DOT. And I hope that now that we're kind of have some substance to this bill, that we could, kind of help along the way if anywhere that we could help from the Housing Committee. I would love to be able to be a part of that conversation. But I appreciate the bringing it forward. I appreciate the conversation, and I'll pass it on to the next folks in line.
Thanks, Rep. Scott. Representative Sweet.
Good afternoon, everybody. My apologies, I'm traveling, so I apologize for any background noise. I just wanted, if I may, just comment on the timeline. That is based on when our street outreach team is coming out, which can just be once a week. In Hamden, it's on Tuesdays. And so we're trying to provide a window that if the folks who are doing outreach continuously can catch folks on a regular basis. So that's where the 14 days comes from. So I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Representative. Rep. Weir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Representative Sweet giving that background and explanation for the 14 days as to why this is, how they arrived at that. Mr. Chair, I went back through the testimony. There are a fair amount of individuals who are in support of this, various organizations, but we have. We've got the Council of Governments testified in opposition to this or with raising concern. DOT, DOH, and DESP all submitted testimony stating that they are working in conjunction with DEMAS, who did not testify, but DEMAS was listed. They already have a program in place to address this. It is as Representative Scott pointed out, 72 hours. But I don't see why we're interfering with the program. There's already outreach. You've got those organizations working together who have a program in place. DOH actually said that this bill may be unnecessary. That was how they finished off with their testimony. And so I think we are really overstepping here. And this is not coming from someone without a heart. I have close family members with addiction, who struggle with addiction. I have a relative who has been in and out of homelessness. He's my age, and for probably close to the past 20 years, a fairly close relative. And some of that is through addiction and behavior. And by choice, maybe not always by choice, but the help is there. And I think as but if I take that hat off, right, and we just talk pragmatically about safety, about quality of life, if we're looking to take, there's a program in place for support and a 72-hour window to maintain safety and order. I think when we take steps to loosen that up, we encourage this type of behavior. And if we're not happy with the results we're getting, we're going to continue to get these kind of results if we loosen the standards. So, in one of my relatives and in business, I had a mentor who said to me, "You'll get what you tolerate." And in this case, nobody is on this call, I'm certain, and nobody in the Transportation Committee or serving in the legislature wants to any more homelessness. I've gone on the record to say I think we'd be happy if we'd all be satisfied if the homelessness number was zero. But I think this is taking a wrong step. Loosening the standards to accommodate a group where there could be a safety issue. The DOT, I'll just wrap up within the next 30 seconds or so. The DOT is responsible for major highways, limited access highways, major roadways. Where there's heavy traffic, they're not dealing with cul-de-sacs and parks necessarily. They're dealing with high traffic areas, high volume, high speeds, and to my knowledge, there's posted signs that would inform somebody that they're not allowed to be there. So that's number one. I don't think anybody's assuming that climbing over a fence or ignoring a sign on the side of a highway or under an overpass, they know this is a deliberate action that somebody's taking to be in that spot. So, to say that somebody would be in a spot, maybe not knowing that they're not supposed to be there, I think is, unless they're unable to read, or I would say that somebody knows they're not supposed to be there in these encampments. And DEMIS, DOT, DOH all took a very thoughtful approach to working with these people to remove them from the area, as outlined in the testimony. So I just want that to be noted that the high speeds. One of my colleagues mentioned the other day that what would happen if any one of us on this call decided that we're going to open a hot dog stand in one of these same areas. How would we? How long would that last? How long would that fly? Or if we were doing some other sort of recreation, and I understand these are life supporting measures, right? Shelter, not taking away from that, but I'm concerned that we're loosening the standards, as I said before, and putting more stress and strain on our DOT. Something that they shouldn't have to bear the responsibility, in my opinion, for this vote and this type of behavior. All the while, there is a program in place to support these people with a shortened timeline of 72 hours. This is not just coming in and sweeping people out. As Representative Felipe said, certainly none of us on this call are for that. So with that, I'll be a no for the reasons I stated. I thank you for allowing me the time.
Thank you, Representative. And I just want to clarify something, and not in response to you directly, and definitely respect those who are voting no. But I will say, in terms of the timeline, right? There are two competing things we need to think about, because Representative Sweet brought up the fact that in a lot of our municipalities, whether it be the street team in Hamden, as they call it, or emergency services in my city of Bridgeport, they don't have the capacity to be checking these places on a very consistent basis, sometimes once a week. And to be able to add that capacity costs money. And I understand that it has been the will of this committee, but it hasn't been the will of this legislature and the will of this state to add money for those kinds of services and to be able to check on these folks consistently. So if you have a street team that's going out once a week, let's say, they're not going to be able to check on a person twice within 7 or 3 days, right? They're not going to be able to make that personal connection. I understand that folks should be able to read notices, right? They should be able to understand if signs are put up. But there's also that connection to a person that works in either the municipal government, that might work for the state, that has the access to some of the folks who can get them connected to services and get them moved on somewhere, instead of them creating another encampment in a similar place just a little bit down the road. So not saying that to compete or contend with anything that you guys are saying, just saying that these are the interests that are that we're looking at. And if we don't want to put money into the services for these folks, we have to do something like this to be able to allow them the time to be able to get connected to these services. Senator Marks.
Thank you, Chair Felipe, and thanks for being there in person and letting me not be there in person. These people are called the unhoused, and these people, the unhoused. So first, let me say that I will compete with what some people have said. I've lived a few more decades than Rep. Felipe, and I'll probably have lots fewer to live. So I need to say what I need to say when I can say it. Unless you have walked a mile in their shoes, you have no idea the life that they have led. This is their homes. It's not in a cul-de-sac, but to them, it is their home. Yes, many of them can read. They want to be far away from the rest of civilization so that they can try to live their life with the most dignity that they can. And that sometimes is on DOT property. As Rep. Sweet said, we need to treat them with empathy. Empathy is so important if our society is to work. And we need to make sure that when we find them and we find out that it is a dangerous situation, that we give them plenty of time. And I think the 2 weeks is very kind, very empathetic, and will let them take care of their belongings and find somewhere else to go. The services that we give them are called homeless shelters, which are very traumatic places to be. They choose to stay outside. Many have said, people here, not many, 2 people here have said that they choose to be outside. They choose to be outside because they choose not to be in a shelter. So they are going for the path of least resistance. That's which will be least trauma to them, and which is pretty amazing if you think that sleeping outside, especially in the very cold or the very hot, is better than being in a shelter. And the housing committee can do something to help these people, the unhoused. We can create more housing because right now there are middle-class people who are renting apartments that are less expensive than what they can afford, but there's nothing else to them. So whether we do very affordable or affordable, middle class, upper middle class, the more we build, the better we can do. There was a time when we had no homelessness, and that was because we had YMCAs that were able to house people. And we had boarding homes that were able to house people, people that could rent rooms in their homes, in boarding homes. So there is so much that the housing committee can do. Number one, increase funding to the not-for-profits that deal with the unhoused. And then we can also pass really aggressive, impactful legislation that is truly going to help the people that cannot find housing. If we could find every single one of these people, the unhoused, that is what they are called, unhoused, a place to lay their head that would give them dignity, I can assure you our homeless unhoused rate would decrease. So just be careful what people said. And you know what? I'm not a super religious person, but I am going to say something that is always in the back of my mind, but yet I never say it. WWJD. And I think he would do everything in his power to make sure that the unhoused living in what they call their homes on DOT property get treated with the utmost respect, which to me is 2 weeks notice. So thank you for allowing me to speak, co-chair. And again, thank you for being there.
Thank you, Senator. Now let's do this. On House Bill 5235, or substitute for House Bill 5235. They asked it, so I don't have to. They asked it, so I don't have to. JF to the floor. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We've already had discussion. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
A motion has been made and seconded to JF to the floor, agenda item number 1, substitute for House Bill number 5235, an act concerning notice requirements and standards for the removal of encampment on property under the control of the Department of Transportation. Representative Felipe.
Yes.
Senator Marks.
Yes.
Representative Scott.
Representative Scott votes no.
Senator Sampson. Representative Roberts. Senator Gaston. Senator Anwar.
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Representative Roberts.
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Representative Brown. Representative Butler. Representative Corpus.
Rep. Corpus votes no.
Representative Gonzalez. Representative Hall. Senator Hockadell. Representative Jensen.
Jensen votes no.
Senator McCrory.
Senator McCrory votes yes.
Representative Sweet.
Representative Sweet votes yes.
Representative Turco.
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir.
No.
Could you repeat that? You need to be on the screen. Thank you.
No.
Thank you. Representative Zulo. Thank
All right, everybody. Doesn't look like we're gonna have any other meetings. Knock on wood. We'll hold the votes open until 12:30 on Zoom and in the Housing Committee suite. Thanks, everybody. And we'll stand at recess.
Didn't hear my name.
Representative Butler.
Representative Butler votes yes.
Thank you.
Just give me one moment, please, Rep Zula.
Absolutely. Take your time.
Great. I'm sorry about that, Rep Zula. How are you?
No problem. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So we only had one item on our agenda today that was HB 5235, and that concerning notice requirements and standards for the removal of encampments on property under the control of the Department of Transportation.
Rep Zula votes no.
No. Ready? You're all set, Rep.
Thank you very much. Have a great one.
You too. How are you, Senator Gaston?
I'm doing well.
I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear. So we only had one item on our agenda today. That was HB 5235, and that concerning notice requirements and standards for the removal of encampments on property under the control of the Department of Transportation.
Yes, I want to vote consistent with the chairs there. Yeah.
All right. So they voted yeah. Is that okay with?
Yes.
All right. You're all set, Senator Gaston. Have a
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye now.
How are you, Senator? Hold on, Senator. Give me just a second. Hey, Senator.
How's it going?
I gotta make sure. Sorry, I'm having a sound issue on my end. Give me just 1 second.
You're all good.
All right, Senator, can you say something? I just want to make sure my laptop is catching
Yes,
it.
testing.
Oh, I can hear it. I can hear it.
All right, awesome.
How do you vote on the bill?
The technology works. I am a no on the one item on the agenda.
Okay, I have you down here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Take it easy.
Take care. How are you, Senator?
Bye.
How do you vote on the bill?
I vote yes, please.
Vote yes. All right. Catch you down. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
How are you, Representative Brown?
Hi, good, Tyler. How are you?
Doing well. Just give Mike 1 second, please.
Sure thing.
Hi, Representative Brown, just 1 quick second. I have Representative Gonzalez here as well. How do you vote?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. And Representative Brown, how do you vote?
Thanks, Mike. I'm a yes as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Take care.